Hello, yeah, hello, Kevin.
Hello.
I can hear you, yeah. I think you are in the wrong mic, or I can't hear you.
What about now? Better?
Yes.
And now we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, so it's automatic settings, which just decides to go a bit crazy. So I need to talk for a little bit until it figures out that I actually want to talk and increases the volume. Oh, this is infuriating. Wish I could somehow change the settings for this. But yeah, I don't think I will be speaking much in this one.
All right. Let's get started here. Do we have members from team 404? Okay, let me make you panelists, Arslan and Jonathan. Let's see.
Yeah, I think for the next team, always maybe raise your hand. There's like this functionality at the bottom, so that way we can easily see you and start on everything. Here we go.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Great. All right. Hi, everyone. This is Team 404. Our product is called PetPal, and it's a peer-to-peer adoption service. So the context, half of the population in the United States are pet owners, which is an estimated 165 million. And about 20% of these are obtained through pet adoption each year. And we believe as a society, we have a lot of work to do to prevent animals being abandoned, neglected, and abused. And with our app, we aim to reduce pet overpopulation, decrease surrendering, and promote adoption. So here's the problem. Shelter environments may cause a pet to negatively alter its behavior in order to cope with stress. Some may have anxiety issues, for example, or develop them. And dogs, for example, our pack animals, but spend a majority of their time alone, amid frustrating noise, chaos, and fear. And COVID-19 related complications have created a domino effect where many shelters helping dogs, cats, rabbits have been hurt by staffing shortages, resulting in reduced operations and fewer adoption events. And crucially, the pandemic has broken key links in the transport chain that takes animals from the streets to their new homes. So bottom line, shelters are overcrowded and many pets are euthanized. And some additional problems, users looking for pets to adopt are unable to truly get to know a pet online if animal information is limited or unknown, such as breed, age, and dietary restrictions. And if the information shared does not captivate the user, it can hinder and slow the overall experience of adopting a pet. And it can also help the rescue professionals who are understaffed and rely on volunteers because that's how they work. It could also be difficult to populate and maintain a pet adoption database or website, and pets are admitted into the shelter, finding new information and adding it to the database can be difficult and time consuming. This is in addition to keeping up with other responsibilities such as walking dogs, feeding, and etc. So what is our customer segment? Of course, users looking to adopt pets, pet lovers, foster pet parents, and everyone interested in the cause. And rescue professionals, because shelters are often funded by grants, donations, and fundraising And this alleviates the dependency and need for more shelter volunteers and employees by reducing the stress on the entire system. So what is our solution? A platform to easily access pets available for adoption in their location, as well as ways to contribute to the solution of pet homelessness. And this platform will allow existing pet owners to list their pet for adoption if they can no longer afford to keep it. And this will also allow users looking to adopt a way to reach out to owners. So this avoids pets visiting the shelter entirely. It's easy to navigate, and where you can view photos and videos, as well as we hope to provide educational resources as well. And for monetization, third parties with interest or relation to pet goods and services can advertise their products on the platform and maybe offer specials and whatnot. And what impact do we want to achieve? Well, we just want to remove barriers to adoption, because there is a misconception that adoption is free or extremely low cost. And this can actually range in the hundreds of dollars, but this app makes it free. Current owners of pets will understand their pet history, diet, behavior, and temperament, and can convey that to new owners. It may also remove delays in the adoption process by going to the owner directly. Shelters may be slow to respond. Reaching out directly to pet owners eager to surrender may solicit faster communication. And there's no intrusive approval process to reclaim a pet, and it allows for the rescue of a local pet if the shelter is not conveniently located. It just overall makes life easier. Our competitors are breeders, which make up 20% of pets obtained. And as for other competitors, we would like our application to be used by all nonprofit organizations, as well as any other private, big or small org that handles pet adoption services, because we believe it is our responsibility to reduce pet overpopulation, decrease surrendering, and reduce pet suffering. Competition from sites that promote adoption is welcomed and encouraged. Thank you very much.
Well, sounds impressive.
I think you use all the 5 minutes, so we don't have time for questions. Who is the next team?
So 491 team 9. Are you? Oh, okay, Keith. Let me find you, Keith. All right.
Probably another pet idea, right? There is another pet in this.
Hi, this is Keith. I'm in team 491. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Great. So the problem we're trying to solve is that apartment hunting is really hard. I have some experience of trying to find a place in the SF Bay area. And the basic workflow is you go on Craigslist and you click on a place, and then you kind of email the landlord. And there's basically 3 options from there. The ideal solution is, or the ideal situation is that the landlord does reply, and then you can apply for the place. But more often is that you just get ghosted, or they reply, but it's like a scam, right? So we were thinking about something that's kind of similar to apartment hunting is job hunting. And job hunting is just a little bit better on LinkedIn.com. You still have to apply, and it's sort of a similar workflow, and you can still get ghosted. But scams on LinkedIn are a lot rarer because of the verification steps that they have. And additionally, on LinkedIn, the recruiter can contact you directly instead of you contacting them. And so our basic idea is something that's like LinkedIn, but for apartment hunting. So there will be 2 types of accounts. You can have a renter account or a landlord account. And in either case, you can list the requirements for what you're looking for. In the case of a renter, you would list your criteria in terms of like the number of apartments, or sorry, the number of rooms, or the type of housing you're looking for. But in both cases for accounts, you can link to your other social media for verification. And we would just basically like match that your name is the same on like your Facebook or something. And we think that should reduce the number of like scam accounts. And there's also the ability to chat with the renter or the landlord, and the landlords can also like filter and look for people that they think are going to match like their criteria, and reach out to those renters directly, just like on LinkedIn. And so the impact of this is we think that this will make it easier to find a place, and it will reduce the number of housing scams. And that's the idea that we're pitching here, and that's the app that we'd like to build. Thank you.
We still have a few minutes, so I'm going to ask a question.
Yes.
Like, this is a marketplace, so you need to have people on both sides, right? You need to have renters and you also need to have landlords. Do you have any idea how to cold start this, like where to start or how to have the first users?
So we think that the first users are going to be renters. And so this can also kind of work like through the existing sort of like email workflow on Craigslist. So for example, you could like email a landlord with a link to your renter profile. And then that way, like, you know, they could learn a little bit more about you, and then they could talk to you on our app site instead. There's also the possibility of scraping Craigslist data and then displaying that on our site, and then having you know, the ability to like actually search through Craigslist postings on our app.
Okay. Any other questions? No? So thank you.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
Talk to you soon.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Keith. So next team is Mastan Sharif. Oh no, sorry. Astrohoids. Do we have anyone from Astrohoids? Luke, okay. Give me 1 second.
If you could let me write in the spreadsheet as well, Kevin, so we can take notes, mark who is already ready, okay, who was gone. Yep.
Okay, Luke.
Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So our app is Nebula. The context behind this is that we have all competed in the first robotics competition, which is a yearly or annual event where teams around the world of mainly high schoolers compete to build robots that complete a new task or a game every year. And in our experience while competing in these things, teams keeping track of their robots is kind of hard to do. The way that we've seen is mainly teachers emailing each other back and forth of their different parts that are being made. And it's kind of hard to lose or to keep track of everything because everything gets flooded in teachers' emails. So our problem is we don't really have ways to view past robots, like if we ever need to make new parts for them. We also have the problem where students don't know what parts need to be made, and not everybody knows who's doing what. And due to COVID-19, not all the students are in the classroom at the same time. So they need remote ways to track the progress of everything. And teachers need an easy way to manage who's working on what, because right now it's mostly just teachers using Excel sheets to keep track of everything, which can get pretty large. And we also need a way for files to be hosted in one central place. So our solution is have a simple overview of all the different parts of a robot and what are in progress, completed, need to be done. We have a central hub where all the files are clearly viewable and accessible and downloadable whenever you need them. Teachers can manage what parts are being assigned to who. They can also set up notifications on emailing students, like if they are assigned a part. We also have a way to filter out for students that they can view what parts they need to work on or what parts that they completed. And we wanted to do sort of a Kanban style of, in progress, to do, and completed. And that's our idea. Thank you.
We still have 1 minute and a half. Do you have questions?
I'll go. There seems to be quite a large project, and just wondering what will be your kind of main focus. So just in case that, start running out of time to make all of that.
Well, our main focus is mainly just to do that Kanban style sort of tracking for parts and being able to download the file or download and upload the schematics when you need to.
I have a follow-up question. Like, what is the difference between using like Trello and using the project that you want to build? Like, there is something that is very specific to the robots that you are going to incorporate there?
Yeah, we were looking into having like a 3D models being able to be uploaded there, so that, we can view them, and to also be able to view the blueprints when we need to.
Okay, so a specific visualization tool, so you don't need to use multiple tools to visualize your project and download all the time the file, so you can visualize everything in the same place. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions? You have 20 seconds. Okay, thank you, Luke. Talk to you
Thank you.
soon.
Thanks, Luke. So next team is Big Brain Coders. Anyone from Big Brain Coders?
I think they have their hands
People
up.
are
Oh,
at
they
their
have their hands
head.
up. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I just saw that. Okay, so adding you now. Okay, awesome. I think that's everyone.
Yes, so go ahead.
Okay, and then can everyone see? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, everything's fine.
Okay, so hello everyone. We are the Big Brain Coders, and today we're going to introduce our product, Animo. Oh, sorry, went a little bit too far. Sorry, it's a little bit laggy on my end. There you go. So we are a team of 5 undergraduate students from the University of Hawaii at Manoa interested in software development and creating products that positively impact our community.
So the problem we are addressing with our product is the increase of mental health problems associated with COVID-19. According to a study published by the CDC, US adults reported elevated adverse mental health conditions associated with the COVID-19 pandemic, with young adults and racial/ethnic minorities having experienced disproportionately worse health outcomes, increased substance use, and elevated suicidal ideation. As college students, we've definitely felt some of these difficulties. Lack of social interaction because of online education has propounded the stress from classes. For this hackathon, we want to create an application that would bring together students and make it easier to make meaningful connections even through the screen.
To brainstorm ideas on how to socialize to solve this problem. We started off with trying to find common interests among our team. Some of us like sports, hiking, playing video games. But one thing we all had in common is we started spending a lot more time watching shows and movies online, especially during the pandemic. And that's how we came up with Animo, a social media platform centered around just discussing TV shows and movies. The title is wordplay on anime, Japanese animation, and movies, hence Animo. With Animo, users will be able to add friends to see what kind of shows they like to watch, discuss plot twists from the latest episode of the hot new series, and track who's the biggest Netflix addict among the friend group. With this application,
With this application, we hope to create connections between students that would otherwise be lacking because of online education. We are excited to implement a solution with Meteor and hope to share our product with you all soon.
Thank you.
Okay, this was great. Yeah, do you have questions?
So I have a quick question. How, if I understand this correctly, this should be kind of like play with or be comparable with things like Anime Planet, where you can track what you're watching and then discuss it with, say, the group of people you assign around. Is that my correct assumption?
Yeah, so it'll be similar to I think the app we were looking at was like My Anime List, but where it's just a directory of a bunch of different shows and you can kind of add shows to your profile. The difference here is that we plan to add that chat system as well as like a personal feed so that you can kind of see what your friends are kind of looking at, as well as the leaderboard, just to make it a little more personal and more social. Sorry.
Yeah, I believe Amazon Prime Video, they release a feature where you can watch with your friends together. So we have, I never use it, but I think you can have like a chat in the side. So I think that shows that this is a good direction, because if Amazon is investing money on this, it's probably because people want to have this kind of interaction. So I think that's a nice idea. Any other questions? You have 50 seconds.
I'll just quickly add, for this team to check out the animeplanet.com. I posted in the chat as well. You might find some additional ideas as well. But yeah, looking forward to this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so the next team that we have, let's see. Next team is Circa Dian. Taylor Robin, are you here? Oh, yeah. Yes. Okay, so give me 1 second.
Yeah, while we wait, I have to say that so far I'm very impressed with all of the team's ideas.
Me too. Me too.
Very high quality.
Okay, just gave you permission, Taylor.
Maybe we can already go ahead and give permission to the next team, Cocoa. So we are always one team ahead.
Okay.
Cocoa team, please send a message or raise your hand. Okay, Taylor, you can start.
Hey all, sorry I don't have a full presentation yet. I'm still very much working through the idea and hoping to kind of finalize my solution through this weekend. But essentially I'm focused on one key thing that actually the previous group mentioned as well, and that's substance abuse, and that substance use in general, especially unhealthy substances, I should say, have gone up drastically during the pandemic as life stresses have gone up and people have turned to new ways to cope as we're forced more and more inside. So I know, like personally, I've definitely been drinking more than I want to, and I know a lot more people have struggled with other substances as well. And the key issue for me is that addiction recovery and substance abuse support, and at least in the US, maybe this is different elsewhere, but it's really focused on rock bottoms and helping people up from having like really horrible situations and providing them with basically a 12-step path towards abstinence and recovery. This is super effective for people that are kind of at that depths of despair, at that rock bottom, but it doesn't really help people or prevent people from reaching that point to begin with. And there aren't a ton of resources about talking about substances and managing your usages at more of like a healthy or sustainable level without having to go towards this kind of binary black and white, use or don't use as like this kind of addict state, I guess. And a lot of this is largely due to kind of stigma and around drug use. Alcohol doesn't really have that effect in the US, but in other countries, alcohol itself is also very stigmatized. And I think a lot of that is super compounded right now with the social isolation as well. And so people already weren't wanting to talk about using things like alcohol or weed or other drugs more than a sustainable amount, but now we're even more withdrawn and less likely to try and find our limits before hitting that rock bottom. So the solution I'm dancing around and will hopefully find throughout the course of this hackathon is trying to create an anonymous platform where people could begin to track their usage and find advice on kind of the substances they're using, kind of through the Arrowwood database, if anyone's familiar with that, and kind of cross-pollinating the information we have with drug use with kind of an anonymous social environment to track and reduce your usage in a kind of accountable setting without needing to necessarily commit to complete sobriety. So essentially a middle ground between a 12-step program that promotes sobriety above all else, and then just being able to go out and have a drink once or twice a week. So creating a platform to better track an individual's usage and meet them with others, or connect them with others that are maybe going through similar things, and to find accountability with that. And then the idea is through this, you could then create bigger data sets about drug usage that don't really exist because of a lack of conversation about them, and start to see larger patterns about drug usage, as well as potential ways to sever those patterns and help people into recovery or just a more sustainable relationship with drugs and alcohol. So yeah, that's the core.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I have a question, like, do you know how to get new users? Like, is there a place now that people are going, maybe a forum that is anonymous so they can talk about this? Where can you find like people that would need this tool?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, as I mentioned, a lot of the issue is that it's a lot of disparate individuals, and usually the larger someone's problem is, the more withdrawn they are socially. There are a lot of like subreddits that are usually centered around trying to avoid one drug or another, but unfortunately, due to like moderation demands, a lot of those are very like particular about being like complete abstinence or about like complete removal, and they kind of mimic a lot of the same patterns as 12-step programs. And so it could be a good place to find people that are kind of on the edge, that are like maybe almost getting banned from those communities because they're trying to find solutions that aren't allowed in that strict binary. So I think looking for pre-existing communities that might have been created around one or multiple substances and trying to find tools that work for them is the best way to get past the cold start problem.
Okay, great. Thank you. Our time is up.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Taylor. So the next team we have is Daj, DAAJ. So let me just give you panelists permission.
Next team, just raise the hands so we can already convert you to panelists.
Hi, we're Team Daj. I'm about to share my screen. Okay,
we can see your screen. Yeah, go ahead.
Great, thanks. So I don't know about you all, but in the first year of the pandemic, I went outside around 2 times in total and barely saw my friends. As we know, the COVID pandemic has led to many changes in our lives. Some of them being less social interaction, reported feelings of loneliness, and reported feelings of social isolation. And now people are anxiously trying to hang out more often. According to the recent Axios poll, 55% of people have already resumed certain regular activities such as in-person gatherings. So our application will help facilitate, support, manage, or even help initiate this kind of activity. To increase social interaction among teens and adults, but to also maintain safety during the COVID time, this application will allow people to easily schedule hangouts with the necessary safety precautions in mind. So how will it work? People will each have their own profile that contains their availability throughout the week and hangout ideas that they are interested in. People will also form groups within the app, which will hopefully help keep people within a limited number of social bubbles and schedule hangouts for each group. Our application will help people smoothly determine which day, which time of day, and which hangout idea is the best for a group by cross-examining between the people within the groups, their availabilities and their interests, but will also notify groups if the number of people who attend the hangout is beyond the maximum limit under current COVID restrictions. And then once a hangout is set, the application will keep track of the people who attended and keep a running record of people each user has hung out with in the past 3 weeks to help with contact tracing. Proximity brings us together not only physically, but emotionally as well. Our app will help friends meet up together like they once were able to, returning to a sense of normalcy, all the while abiding by COVID safety measures. Thank you. Any questions?
Well, amazing. I'll start with my question. How do you plan to get up-to-date data on the current restrictions? And do you plan to just have it for one country or be able to for people to use it internationally?
Yeah, I think at the moment we'll probably focus maybe on United States, so maybe or per state, but maybe in the future we could try to go international, but definitely probably gonna focus on by state.
And specifically, how do you plan to kind of get the information? Is there like some sort of a API that you can kind of plug into that would get, or will you have to do some web scraping?
Yeah, I think we haven't entirely discussed that part yet, but we maybe will try to scrape like the CDC website, or maybe there's a news outlet that keeps track of those updates for the United States COVID restrictions.
Okay, sounds good. If you have any question about web scraping and stuff like that, there's also a company called Appify, which kind of specializes with that and also uses Meteor. So feel free to come and ask me about it, and I'll be happy to help you.
Great. Amplify, you said, yeah? Amplify.
Appify.
Okay, Appify, okay.
If you don't have other questions, you can go to the next team. I think it's going to be EcoCamino, right?
Yeah, just gave them permission.
The teams that are not here at the moment, they have another opportunity in the end. So I'm tracking in a spreadsheet. So in the end, we can call it the same teams again.
Yeah, sorry. We're waiting for one of our teammates.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So okay.
Let me know
Anna?
when you are ready.
Yeah. Anna, you want to take it away?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Anna, and I'm working with Jerome, Daphne, Michael, and Timothy, and we are EcoCamino, and we're students at University of Hawaii. The application we are making is called EcoCamino. So in Hawaii, if you have ever noticed, or if you've ever been there, nature is all around us, from mountains to the ocean. As a group, we understand that we heavily depend on our ecosystem to live and breathe. However, we also notice that we're slowly losing them more and more, and the ones we do have are facing ecological collapse due to our own actions. And if we don't act now, the species living in these ecosystems will eventually not exist. We recognize this problem, that it's not exclusive to just Hawaii, and it's happening all around the world. So the problem we want to address is that in many communities, there is a lack of information about the real threats to our ecosystem and environmental awareness among the public. There are people who want to contribute, but not many people know of existing efforts like nonprofit organizations and ways to be involved in the community. EcoCamino solves this by offering a chance to build a new community. And in this community, people can collaborate and protect the environment together. Our goal is to develop an application to not only build a platform to help the environment and organize events such as beach, park, and forest cleanups, but also to educate the next generation. And by doing that, we want to implement workshops and help from the community. Especially after a year of isolation, we understand that not everyone's been outside or has a community that they feel connected to. So we want to create this platform for people to create a community and feel at home again outside after COVID has taken a year away from us. We hope that this will rebuild bonds. In our application, the features will be like a calendar that shows community hosted events, workshops, including those that are hosted by other organizations. The users can host their own events or workshops by adding it through the app or connecting through a forum. There will be a scoring system that will allow users to compete for a moderator role, making the site itself self-run. But let me differentiate that. It's not the admin role. It's just the moderator role. So they don't have full access over it, but they'll be able to lead the group. There will be a page that contains resources or information about different organizations, as well as tips on other ways to help the environment. Together, we aim to have our application be used not only in Hawaii, but in every part of the world as well. We hope that to work with other organizations, and together as a whole, we hope that this application could provide the environmental awareness that the public needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Really good. I was in Hawaii like a month ago, and it's a paradise.
Yes.
Okay, questions? We still have 1 minute.
just a quick follow-up here. In my city, we have been through a hurricane in some sorts. So there were a lot of small groups that get together to solve certain problems, like removing a tree from the street or repairing trees that got get by the wind. So I think that's a very great idea. Just in a real use case, I would use that app for that.
I have a quick question. This kind of seems, from my understanding, to be, creating a community to kind of start up. There's a lot of applications that already create, kind of meetups for communities and or try to achieve similar things. I was wondering, if you are going to maybe kind of integrate a bit into them, or how are you going to get people to join your application? Thank you.
So right now the plan is to, initially for starting up, we would partner with other organizations within the community and expand through that. So their events would become sort of our events. We would kind of host it among everyone. So, or that's how the vision is right now, in fact.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Time is up.
Thank you,
We have a
guys.
few, Kevin is calling a few teams already. Team K, OS, Team Kitch, and Team K, the names are really hard, right? K Rai Fish. Are you there?
I think it also has to do with your pronunciation, Felipe.
It's impossible to pronounce
So
this
I
like
think
craft fish.
Gustavo from Team Kish is here.
Okay, so we're going to skip the others and let's go ahead with Team Kish. The next team is going to be Kodak, but the team Kodak already sent the presentation because you're not able to make in time. So I'm going to read the presentation in a few seconds after Gustavo.
Hello, everyone. So Kish was the pronunciation, it's correct. But so I don't have any visuals for my presentation, but so I'm just gonna talk about it. So I wanna change how people build and develop apps. So when you talk about app development, there's always this constant challenge about the designer developer handoff process. And the nature, but like the nature of every project is somewhat circular. Like even when you think the design is done, at some point you have to make some changes. Like often ideas aren't shared as much with stakeholders, like to ask enough feedback. So they end up needing change during the development. So there's no really a handoff process. It's a constant collaborative process that has to work well in both directions, like from the designer to the developer and from the developer to the designer. So we are gonna make that possible. We'll provide like an easy way where both designers and developers can see what each other are doing, like building, and while they are building. So developers will know what they have to do next, like the page, the components they have to build. But they also can like make some their own stuff, like or change something. And the designers or other stakeholders will be aware of those changes, like, and then they can act upon that, like maybe declining or accepting those changes. And because we know the structure of the app, we can compare every element of it and like how it was designed and how it's currently being presented. So forget about like miscommunications between designers and developers. No more unnecessary rework or redundant work. We are going to make the process of building an app a lot more fun. Thank you.
All right, any questions from the team? All right. So
I think Danielson was trying to say something. I think you're muted.
still nothing.
Nothing.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Looking forward to see what you come up with. I guess we
Yes,
can
thank you,
move to the next
Gustavo.
team.
So next team that raised their hand is Lambstech. So let me promote you to panelist.
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen.
Oh, sorry,
Kevin,
you're...
Kevin, get them in, and in the meantime, Felipe
Okay.
is going to do presentation.
I can share the presentation. Like, I'm not a team. I'm just representing the team Kodak because she was not able to present at this time. Her name is Anatai. I think I pronounced correctly. I'm not sure. So the name of the project is Freespace, and they're trying to address the problem with adolescent mental health. And they have some stats here, like 1 in 5 teens suffer from at least one mental disorder. Mental conditions account for 16% of the global burden of disease and injury in people like they are teenagers. Half of all the mental health conditions start by 40 years of age, but most of the cases are undetected and untreated. Suicide is the third leading cause of death in teenagers between like 15 years and 19 years old. COVID pandemic has like exacerbated these conditions, with many cases being downplayed as stress, consequence of not addressing mental health and psychological development for children and adolescents extend to adulthood and limit the opportunities for leading fulfilling lives. According to a study, majority of low treatment rates are due to the lack of knowledge about mental health and mental health services. And young people report not knowing where to find help and who to talk, and failing to perceive a problem as either serious enough to require help or mental health related. So how they want to address the issue? With the intention of filling this knowledge gap, Freespace is a platform that allows adolescents and students to gain complete access to all relevant information about various, my time is not up yet, about various mental health conditions. A creation of online resource in a web app is a convenient way and accessible to all. This includes information on all type of conditions, warning signs, myths and facts, coping strategies, where to seek further help, and important hotlines. It's especially timely since recently commemorated World Mental Health Day on October 10th. Freespace has the main purpose of raising awareness amongst the vulnerable and reducing the stigma around mental health conditions. The first version will begin at a local scale, with most information specific to users in Singapore. That's why she's not here, because Singapore time zone is really far from our time zone here. And there is two references here about this. So in general, they want to provide education about mental health issues for teenagers. So that's the platform they want to build. If you have any questions, hold your question for later, because I don't know how to answer your questions. So you can go to the next team.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Felipe, for presenting that. So next one is Lambstech. I think you are panelist now.
Hi. Can everybody hear me?
Yep,
yes.
Go ahead.
Hi. So our event, our idea is an event finder. So after the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of people lost connection with their friends. They lack social interactions and they're in social isolation, and that's not good for your mental health. So our idea is to create an application that connects people by their interests in events that they're interested in. our app will allow people to create a personal profile that has their basic personal information and allows them to enter their hobby as tags onto their profile, such as football, video games, and movies. And you'll allow them to create and opt into events. So if you create an event, it could be either online or offline. You could enter basic events information such as locations and rules, and you can add tags to events. So let's say you're holding a basketball match, you could add basketball tag to that event, outdoor tag to that event, and other people can see it. And they will get these event will get sorted and recommended to users who has a basketball tag on their profile or a outdoor tag on their profile. And we have a mock-up of our application. So a sign-up page would contain something simple like their username, their password, and then the hobby and interests they're interested in. And you could create and find events such as basketball matches. It also doesn't have to be in the real world. It could be online, such as video games. And this is what it would look like if you were to create an event. You could add tags so that you would be people with the same tag can see these events. And after you join the event, you can also opt out if your schedule doesn't allow it. You allow other people to join in. And yeah.
Time for questions. Any questions?
Well, do you plan to include like some sort of a map so that people can look through a map to see what are some of the events near them?
Yes, we also plan to sort events based on location, geolocation, so that closer events would get recommended. And user could also sort events based on the distance. So you don't get recommend an event that's 20 miles away.
Awesome. This really ties into some of the, say, first Meteor examples, which were with geolocation. And yeah, all the mobile packages are up to date, so should be able to use them really nicely.
Okay, no more questions. Thank you. Look forward to see your app running.
Thank you. Okay.
What was his team? It was Lambstech?
Lambstech, yeah.
Okay.
Lambstech. So next team is Learn Together. So just gave you panelists.
Coming in.
Hello, check, mic check.
All fine.
Hello.
Okay, yeah, hi guys. So when I signed up for this thing, I thought about like making a platform where people can connect who are learning the same things. But then I started exploring other things, and I actually changed my idea. So I hope it's okay. And currently,
okay.
I'm trying to build a sort of a platform or a portal where people can find accountability buddies for whatever they are going through it. So it's basically we are trying to connect with the people who are maybe learning same thing, or maybe they are trying to like improve same things and things like that. Oh, I'm terrible at it. Sorry. Currently what people are doing is there are like so many subreddits, and where people so this is one of the screenshots of the subreddit, which is like somebody is looking for a work buddy, and they are trying to like keeping up with the tech trend. So basically they want someone with whom they can discuss about the current tech trends. This is another post which describes like somebody is looking for preparation about JEE and WT exams, and they are looking for a study buddy. This is another sort of screenshots where like somebody is looking for like so many things, like they want to improve their discuss photography, Zen marketing, arts, and things like that. So when I was going through all these things, what I have noticed is like this whole post had like so many information, but those are not standardized. So these are all sort of subreddit lingos where like this 24am specifies like this is a like 24-year-old male, and this is like their time zone and things like that, like what their interests are. So the information is not in a structured way, so it's not even a searchable. And sometimes people are having their own communication preferences. So what people are currently having difficulty is like communicate clearly their time zones, their communication mediums. Like some people just want to connect over Discord, some people just want to connect over emails and things like that. Their checking preferences, how or when they want to check-ins. Like some people want to check in with their accountability daily. Some people wants to like checking weekly or bi-weekly and things like that. Some people wants to connect with only like specific age of group. Like a lot of people on Reddit are sort of a young audience, so some people want to avoid that and try to have communication with maybe adult persons and things like that. And there's also a gender preference which get lost into like posts like this, like how or whom do you want to connect with. uh, and another thing is like all these posts are not searchable. So like in first post, if somebody just typed in like JEE and WT, so they should be able to just find people who are going through that same study material. Some people just want to discuss tech trends, so there is no way to provide this thing in a searchable way in the current system. So I'm trying to add something where people can just create their profile, and whenever they post these things, they can add like dynamic tags. Like using that, we can search them. So my goal for the hackathon is like let people join the app, set up their profile. They can browse other people's profiles, search them, and if they find it interesting, they can ping them. Uh, Thank you.
Yeah, it's really cool. I like this idea. I don't have questions because I talked with DX before this call, so we are hanging out in Gatherton. But do you have any questions?
Well, it's kind of funny because that was actually something that I was looking at today as well. So how do you plan to kind of get your first user? I'm guessing through Reddit, just no advertising there.
Uh, I'm not sure. I'm just thinking about like if I build something and then I post the link, maybe a few people sign up, and then I can gather more data, like what's working and what's not.
Okay, sounds good.
Time's up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go
Thank you,
to the
DX.
next thing.
Yes, so we have Meteor chain.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Yeah. Wait a sec. Okay. This is my idea. So this is kind of the more technical things than the other ideas, and this is for the new programmers or just some students and the small business as well. And it came from I believe the best things for the Meteor is the simple things. We can run the simple and we can use it simple. And plus, after the Meteor files comes up, we can use we can handling the files really easy. But the problem is really new students or new developer, they got some hurdles when they use the files still sometimes. I believe that the Meteor files is easy enough, and maybe you guys don't understand. It's already easy enough, right? But some students is still has some hurdles for this. So I want to, and this performance is really great. I tested this, analyzed this by myself, and I found that in the worst case, because I tested this between the Nginx or Apache things, and this performance shows the 50% in the worst case, because the Nginx or Apache are only the simple real file server. So it's the wrong comparison. So anyway, the performance is enough, and I want you to encourage to use this more. So I'm going to running a server, the Meteor file server, so that the player can use this as a package, and they can install or import the package and just call the service like this, and they will get some link. That's all. They can store this link to their own database or whatever. And I want to apply the DDP connection for the Meteor because it's faster than the others, and the RESTful API would be great for the other cross platforms. And I want to apply these other platforms, but this free service wouldn't be. This is only for the education, so there is some limitation, something like this. But this service is only for the developers, and like a prototyping or that kind of thing, the education purpose. So they can install this server into their server. So after they install this server on their own server, they can install this program, and they can dump and restore the database when they are making already. So they can, and that they just change the target, the destination URL, and there's no changing on their service. So this is my purpose. Do not change anything, and just move the database from the service to their own server. But I think I plan to use the base 60 image, that kind of string, because I want to apply the cross platform. But maybe there's another idea. I'm going to ask you this to the John. Maybe you're gonna help me, right? So later. So maybe that's gonna be the better idea. Yeah, it's all.
Thank you. Have 1 minute for questions, comments.
More of a comment. Obviously, I'll try to help as much as I can. And this is I think this is the first we have that addresses a specific, say, issue in the community. And if I understand this correctly, this would mean that you would provide a service where they just get the package and they can upload, images and other files to it, and they don't have to worry about setting up their own servers until they want to. Is that correct?
Yeah, but some students or the small business, they don't want to change their specific code after launching the service. So that kind of the dump and the restore thing came from that idea.
Cool. All right. Looking forward to talking to you about it more.
Yeah. Thanks. Is it done?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Jing.
Yes, thank you.
Time is up.
All right, so Octo group, raise your hand. Phelan M, raise your hand. ROHAKES, Rokes. steamed hams. Oh, essay center. So Alfonso, I think we talked about that, Felipe. I can't hear you.
He's not going to join. I think he sent an email, right? Is that case,
Yeah,
right?
he's not going to join.
Okay.
Suaveware. Okay.
I think Suaveware is here. Yeah, they are here.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
I have to say some of the names are pretty imaginative.
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me fine?
Yep.
I am sleeveless because it's quite hot in here. Anyway, let me share my screen. Hopefully you can see it fine.
Yep.
There's some music on. Is it just me?
I think so. It's probably your music.
Oh, I know. It was a call. Anyway, I'm going to talk about Arvore. It's an attempt of making you speak Portuguese, because if you try to say Arvore, you kind of sound like the word in Portuguese that means tree. It's by Suaveware, me, Luis, and Julia. She's working as a designer, and it's an ever better and growing educational content repository powered by its community. Our idea. The repository will help replicate existing curriculums from schools and colleges and allow for the community to create new curriculums. Those curriculums could be built using the same classes and topics as others. I'll show examples. And by curriculums, I mean the classes, the topics teach in each class, and everything you need to teach something to a person. And the material could be anything: videos, articles, exercises, diagrams, and it could be anywhere on the internet. So we wish to use existing material. The community will vote on the best content, and it will be shown first. And anyone can easily add more content to the repository. Original content or existing content could be linked. Our idea is to encourage participation in making ever better content. I actually skipped a slide. I should have talked about the problem first. The problem is, imagine students and professors having to find auxiliary material to master and teach subjects. This is a problem that happens everywhere, every time, in any learning context. Usually this material already exists, but just searching for it on the internet can take some time, and you might not find good material. And you just search for it again and again and again until you find that article that makes it click and you understand it, right? This happens to me a lot, at least. Often the material lacks the context of the student that is trying to learn it. If you're trying to learn math from the context of being a physicist, it's one thing. From being a developer, it might be another thing. The approach to learning could be different. People have to do it on their own instead of building on top of what already was gathered together. So because everyone is doing this in any courses and colleges and schools, if we can do this for them, we can spare some time. So I've talked about the idea already. This is a diagram. We would replicate existing curriculums from colleges, for example. So we have a curriculum, a class, and a subject, and we could have dependencies on the subjects. I gave examples: computer science, algorithms and data structures, and variables. And variables depends on actually arrays depends on variables. Just an example. So by this, I wish to flip around how you look for educational content. Currently, you look for courses, and this course will have all the classes and the subjects you have to learn on it. And you have this as a package, right? This is this gray area. And if you want a different material, you could look into another course or another website or whatever. Actually, this should be a course A here. I forgot to change. I wish to flip it around where if you look into a class content, you can see all the content of all the courses or articles that are online, because you're trying to learn this, right? This is the more important part, what you were trying to learn. And you see all the available material about that subject and that subject alone, videos, articles, anything. And something, hopefully, it's going to make you learn and click. You finally learn how to invert a binary tree or something. The impact. By using the mastering process, the repository will help increase the overall performance of students. By promoting participation and exposing a variety of content, our project will make learning more fun and engaging. Professors will have a great content to use in their classes with videos, examples, exercises, and they could help making the content even better. It will expose curriculums for everyone, not only people who are inside schools and colleges, promoting self-learning even outside of that context. The validation. After implementing it, we will seek to work, while implementing it, we will seek to work close to professors and students. And after implementing it, we will use it in real classes and measure its impact on student scores and dropout rates, because there are classes with high dropout rates. Calculus 1 in my college, people they just give up. Thank you. I talk too much. From Brazil to you.
No time for questions because your time is gone. So thank you, Luis. Thank you, Julia. What is the next team?
Yes, the next team is Wait State. So one person I see.
Has somebody raised their hand? Maybe it's from one of the past teams, or?
No, that's Wait State.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm gonna share my screen.
Yes.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So hi everyone. Hope you guys are still awake. We're Team Wait State. We're from students from University of Hawaii. So for people in emergency situations don't know when they'll be able to get medical attentions. And patients with critical conditions might find out that the hospital is fully occupied after their arrival and won't get treated on time. And this is a current issue due to the COVID pandemic. Our goal is to make sure that patients with critical conditions can locate hospital with the lowest wait time and receive treatment as soon as possible. And so our solution is to build a mobile web applications that will allow patients to find the hospitals with the minimum cost after knowing the capacity and wait time for different hospital emergency rooms. For our app, users will be able to check for hospital ER capacity and availability at their conveniences. Users will also be given temporary accounts that will allow them to view their estimated wait times. And for admins, they'll be able to manage patients' wait time according to patients' conditions, as well as to keep track of patients' check-in of the day. And that concludes our applications. Are there any questions?
Any questions?
I do have one. The wait time for each emergency room, how is that going to be measured? Is that going to be a manual input from the employees, or is there any other system you're planning to implement?
we're thinking to use a package that can measure real time, but one problem that might occur is that whenever the database updates and then our application also refreshes in real time without like refreshing the browser. So that might be one of the problems that might occur when we're coding.
I'm not sure if I get it, but like what Rena is asking, like how you are going to measure, like is a manual input, like somebody's going to go there and say, oh, the wait time is now is like 10 minutes, or are you going to have an app so people can join the line and when they finish, they click again, so you know they left the line? How you're going to measure like the actual time spent in the line?
Exactly, that was my question.
We're thinking about to have some input fields where the admin or the employees can enter the start time, and then when they leave, they can the admins can check out for the patients.
Okay, so the ER, they need to have like a check-in, check-out system basically, right?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? No. So thank you. I think you have skipped like Rafa, Kevin.
I do, yeah. I will, yeah, I made him panelist.
Okay. Thank you. Wait stage team. Go ahead, Rafa.
Hi guys. Let me share my screen. I didn't have a presentation, but I have a README. Not sure how I can see how to. There is a share screen. Okay. I will create Mango, a Meteor admin. It's a backend or back office. Sorry, a back office or an admin. It is inspired by Django. Django is a Python tool. It's great. I used that several years ago and I was impressed and always wished to have something like that in Meteor. It will use scaffolding to create the models, the database schemas, the interface, etc. And it's in mind to be used by other developers to have full control of their apps. What happens, the why is that every time I start a new project, I need to install and configure same packages, not always the same packages, but similar packages. And I happen more than once that I forget to remove the insecure, and that's a problem. And the idea is to have it that you will clone a repo, a repository, and we'll start use that. It will create the admin for doing common things like enable and disable users, and create all the CRUD, the create, read, update, and delete for all the models. And the technologies I will use are Meteor, of course, TypeScript, React, and React Router, Vasco uniforms that I found a year ago or something like that, and is great. And also Bootstrap 5. Those are the technologies I like most, and that's the reason I will be using those technologies. And as I said, we'll be using scaffolding for simplicity and easy to modify. Also, the scaffolding, the templates will have what I hope there will be best practices and security, and that will be in the time will improve with help of community. I hope. And also, I would like to have separate the scaffolded code and the config in the admin from the user application. So whoever uses it can just grab it and start using it and add their application as a separate folder or project or whatever. But we'll concentrate on the back office, not on the application itself. I already saw there are alternatives to that. There was Houston that is unmaintained, and Meteor Candy also that I think is not maintained anymore. And if you know of other project, I will like to know about that. I didn't find projects that are TypeScript and React and Vasco and open source. So that's what the technologies I would like to use, and that's the reason I will use that. Okay, that's it.
Hey, let me ask a question. Like, is this like a Meteor package, or is this just like a Meteor application that you run point to your database? Like, what is going to be the final artifact?
No, it's not a package. I thought about a package, but I think it's very complicated because I need what I'm thinking. The code structure will be very specific in my case. So adding a package will either be complicated for the final user to modify the scaffolded or things like that. So will be a repo that you will just clone and use as it is. Maybe having a package in the future, if I think how to, will be a next step. But initially, at least for the few days that the hackathon lasts, will be a repo that you will clone and use.
And my only concern with this approach is about updates. But I think your idea is to try to isolate this folder so people could probably like copy and paste and replace all these folders when you have updates. That's your idea?
Yeah, and to have it maintained. That's the idea.
Okay, time's up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rafa.
Thank you.
Now I think you have time, Kevin, to try to make a second call, just in case someone is here now. I have a question. I don't know if you're making notes, but the Lambstech was already presented. I think so, but I think I missed it. The Lambstech was already.
They presented, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So I think by my notes, at least you have like Cocoa. We also have Fernando. We also have Hackedu Tech. We also have Key OS, Crafish, Lima Cohen, Moro, not available. I think not available was around, right?
So that's Justin Hurley. I didn't see him on here.
We also have Octogroup. You have Penalem, Hawkins, Steamed Hands, the Susi Bacchus, and Shigmat G2. Like the presentation here is not required. So these teams, they are not disqualified, like they can proceed in the hackathon, but they need to send the repo. So if you are one of these teams and you need to send the repo to us, send the repo on Slack, in the private channel, because we need to have the repo today to be able to follow your progress. And I think I can show again, can you show again the instructions, Kevin, where they are? I think they are in the starting point on GatherTown, right? If you press X,
the kiosk,
then you can open, you can open the document, because the first step, if you're going to join, you need to create the repo and you need to share with us. We have a list of handles that you need to add to your GitHub repo. I think we had like 15 presentations, and we also have probably a few that are not going to present, but they're going to participate. So we have around like 20 teams, I believe. Taylor has a question. Is it okay to submit the repo later tonight? I will not be able to. Yeah, today is okay. Just don't don't do it after today. Any questions? Otherwise, we are going to finish for, I think, for today, right? We don't have other meetings for today.
Yeah, just no, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, so send the repo. That's the first step. Ia is asking if anybody else needs to present. Anybody else is here and it was not called the team, but I don't think that's the case. Okay, so we are going to wrap up here. We are going to be gathered down as much as possible. I hope you are as well. And if you need help, if you need anything, go to the private Slack channel. That's the best way to talk to us. We are using Slack all the time. So every time will be at least one person available. Okay, I hope you have a nice day today and also a nice hackathon and maybe a code weekend. I don't know if you're going to rest in the weekend or if you're going to code in the weekend. But talk to you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you all. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.